Hi, my name's Tanya Landman and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my book Apache. The idea for the book really came completely out of the blue. It was like being hit by lightning. And my heart started to beat with excitement because I thought I can do something about warriors. I was terribly, terribly excited. I wanted to do something about Native Americans but really knew extremely little. So I started to do research, and I started with Geronimo because that was actually the first name that I could think of. And when I looked him up on Google, I discovered that his autobiography was there, and I started to read, and then I was completely, absolutely hooked. The book tells the story of a girl called Siki, who's 14 when the book begins, and it starts with this really dreadful massacre. She sees her little brother being killed. He's only 4 years old at the time, and he's actually the last surviving member of her family because she's already lost her mother and her father. And rather than kind of curling up and dying, she decides that she is going to become a warrior in order to avenge her brother's death. We have white settlers beginning to move into Apache territory, so the world all around her is becoming increasingly precarious and more dangerous as she is becoming more competent and more able to fight it. Once I started doing the research, I got completely gripped by the history. And I think the whole point of writing is that it's an imaginative exercise. You know, there are plenty of things that I'm not, but what I am is a writer. The reason I was particularly interested in the Apaches was because they had a very different style of warfare. When I had the idea for the book, I had no idea if it was plausible for a girl to have become a warrior, and discovered that whereas the Plains Indians, like the Sioux, because of the geography, would have had a very different style of warfare, the Apaches, because they were living in the mountains, tended to fight with guerrilla tactics. There are still Apaches today. They are in reservations. There's one in Oklahoma and another in New Mexico, as far as I know. But basically the Apaches, they were so brave in their resistance that in the end Geronimo, with a band of about 30 people, including this woman warrior who I really based the character of Siki on, they were the last band of free Apaches. And there were only about 30 of them, but they were deemed so dangerous that they were pursued by 5,000 American troops until they finally surrendered in 1886. I grew up really knowing very little because I was brought up on cowboys and Indians, and the Indians were always the baddies. Nobody wanted to be the Indians because they were bad guys and they lost. And I grew up really not knowing the other side of the story. I grew up not knowing there even was another side of the story. It never even occurred to us to question why the cowboys were there, or to suspect maybe they shouldn't have been. So I've got this kind of missionary zeal with Apache that I really want people to read it, because I really want people to know what happened in America.